Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn two topics. The first one, broad versus narrow transcription, and the second one is value of speech sounds of English phonology. Now let us see the next slide. So this is broad and narrow transcription, and for all the two topics that we are going to learn today, you can also check this YouTube link to learn more about the topic that we are discussing today, and also if you want to know deeper about these two topics. So now we go to this broad versus narrow transcription. So the broad transcription, it is the transcription that you've learned from the previous meetings. So if you see here, the explanation is broad transcription captures only enough aspects. So it is only the general transcriptions of pronunciation to show how that word differs from other words in language. But narrow transcription captures as many aspects of specific pronunciation as possible. So the transcription in narrow transcription use diacritics that is provided by the APA to indicate the narrow transcription of a given sound. And broad transcription uses a simple set of symbols, while narrow one uses more specific characters of phonetic details. So why do we need to learn about narrow transcription? So the narrow transcription itself is useful or beneficial for phonetic research, dialectology, speech therapy, language teaching and learning, and also for forensic phonetics. So let us see how broad and narrow transcription differs. So if you see the word help here as the example, the first example we have here is helped. So if you see the broad transcription here, the broad transcription here, the word helped. So this is the general transcription or broad transcription that you learned before. But in narrow transcription, you can see that the sound is quite different here because you have the specific diacritic that is added on the phoneme L. So it is velarization. The simplest way, the simplest narrow transcription for example, for the second example here, the word play. So this is the broad transcriptions, and then this one is the narrow transcription. So if you can see here, and if you still remember that p sound is the plosive sounds, so that's why we have the H symbol here, and then we also have the small circle here under the O sound. So it means it is a voiceless sound. So you need to add the H sound and also the circle, the small circle here. So this is the diacritic, the symbol of diacritic that can help the reader, or also that can help the researchers to understand, to really understand how to pronounce it correctly. So if you see here aspiration, it is for the H symbol added here, and then the voicing, it means voiceless. It is for the small circle added here. So in narrow transcription, like I told you, we have the diacritic symbol, we have diacritics. So the diacritics symbols here, we have so many diacritic symbols here that need to be learned, that need to be memorized. So try to memorize the most common diacritics that will be used when you're trying to do the transcription by yourself. So for example, you have voiceless with the small circle symbol here, or voice with this simple aspirated or plosive sound with this symbol, and others. Let's see next. So if you still remember, the previous slide explained about aspiration. So aspiration, it is the plosive sounds. So neurotranscription includes phonetic details. The phonetic details, we have one of them is aspiration. So it's indicated by superscript H, the superscript H, yeah, added into the transcription. In English, aspiration typically occurs in word initial stress position. Just like this, if you see here the word pay, so this is the broad transcription, and this one is the narrow transcription. So because pa is the plosive sound or as aspiration, so that's why you need to add the superscript H here, yeah, for the word pay. And then it's also same with this is T because it is plosive. So T, 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 this is the broad transcription. Actually, the way you're pronouncing it is also same with this, but this is the narrow transcription, so the transcription is written in detail or more detail than the broad one. So that's why it is T. And come with each superscript H here, come. So actually, like I told you, the way you're pronouncing broad and narrow transcription is actually they are same, but you have the detail here, the superscript H. Next. And then we also have devoicing. The devoicing is marked with a small circle like you see here, below or next to the affected sound. So devoicing here means it is the voiceless sound. Okay, so tap. So this is voiceless. So you need to add um the narrow transcription, or sorry, the diacritic with a small circle here. Okay, so that's broad transcription. Actually, I know it's quite confusing because you have so many diacritic uh narrow transcriptions, but at least you understand that the transcription is not only the general transcription that you've seen in the previous meeting, but you also have what we call as narrow transcription. So the narrow transcription, you need to add some diacritics into the transcription to make the reader or researcher or people who learn more about phonetic understand how they need or they have to pronounce the sounds in detail. Okay, so now we get to the value of speech sounds. So some features of sound can be universal across languages. Example, pulmonic aggressive. So if I'm not mistaken, or if my memory serves me right, this topic already explained in Introduction to Linguistic class. So pulmonic aggressive refers to a type of airstream mechanism used in the production of speech sounds. So pulmonic refers to the airflow being generated by the lungs, which is the most common mechanism for producing speech sound in human languages. Specifically, aggressive, if you see the word aggressive here, so it means that the airflow is expelled from the vocal tract. So you push the air from your vocal tract when you are producing the sounds. So pulmonic aggressive sound are produced by pushing air out from your lungs through your vocal tract to create speech sounds. Most of the sound in human languages, mostly the languages in the word, yeah, including vowels and most consonants are produced using pulmonic aggressive airstream. So it also happened in English and also in Bahasa. And then in contrast, we also have ingressive. So pulmonic ingressive airstream. So it is where the air is sucked into the vocal tract. So you're not pushing the air from your vocal tract, but you try to inhale the air to your vocal tray, which are much less common in the words languages, but actually there is an technique that use this pulmonic ingressive airstream. In common activity or in common or daily activity, whistle. Yeah, it is the example of pulmonic ingressive airstream. But we also have cucumber. Yeah, the word k and g. Yeah, k and g are phoneme in English. These two phones can distinguish words. Example, tag and tag. The occurrence of this sound is unpredictable when the English word begin with t. We cannot predict whether the word will end with k or g, since both are possible. So like I told you, the pulmonic ingressive airstream, based on research, there is an ethnic, it's called Kikamba. Yeah, so in Kikamba, they have the Bantu language. So it's spoken by Kamba people in Kenya. So they produce the word, the way they produce the word kah. The vocal cord do not vibrate during the production of this sound. Hence, it is termed voiceless. And when pronouncing the k sound in Kikamba, the articulators tongue and velum come together to create this obstruction, and then the airflow is released, producing the sound. And in g sound, the articulatory gesture is the same as for k. The back of your tongue contact the soft palate to obstruct the airflow. However, during the production of k, the vocal cords are pulled together and vibrate, resulting in a voice sound. This vibration of the vocal cord distinguishes the g sound from the voiceless k sound. Okay, so in summary, when producing the sound represented by k and g in Kikamba, k is voiceless and is produced with a complete closure of the articulators, followed by a release of airflow without vocal cord vibration. G is voice and is produced similarly to k, but with vocal cord vibration. So yeah, that's how Kikamba try to produce the sound. So it's quite it's really different with the languages in the word. So mostly the languages in the world use pulmonic in aggressive airstream, but for Kikamba ethnic with their Bantu language, they use it with different way, which is pulmonic ingressive airstream. Yeah. So if you see here, while Kikamba and English both use g and ka, the two languages differ in that in Kikamba we can predict the occurrence of one versus the other, whereas in English we cannot. The bottom line is that there are universalities and specificities in the phonological behavior among languages. Now we go to this aspiration in English and Hindi. So aspiration in phonology refers to the presence or absence of a puff of air that accompanies the release of certain consonant sounds. So in every language, certain sound pattern together as if they were simply variant of the same or allophones instead of different sound that can be used to distinguish words or phonemes. So native speaker of English may consider the sound p in pin and spin as the same sound, though they are phonetically different. Yeah. And other example is the word stop, yeah, little and kitten. So for example, for the p sound for pin and spin, yeah, the way they're produced because it's the plosive sound. So of course you will have diacritic here, the H symbol here for both of them, although the words here are different. So aspiration in English marks phonetic but not phonemic differences. So in contrast, aspiration in Hindi matters significantly. The aspirated sound P and then the diacritic act H is as different from the unaspirated P in Hindi as P and diacritic H is from B to our ears. So aspirated and unaspirated sound distinguish words in Hindi. So for example, we have the P sound here. So some of them need to have the diacritic H, but others do not need to have, others do not need to have the diacritic H. So it depends on the words in Hindi language. Okay, now we go to this. Well, P and diacritic H and P sound are non-contrastive in English. The two sound are contrastive in Hindi. Like I told you, in English, when we have the P sound, so all of the P sound we have in some words, so you need to have the diacritic H, but in Hindi it's quite different. So it depends on what the words will be used. So it depends on the words used in Hindi. So not all the words in Hindi will use the diacritic H, but some of them do not need to use the diacritic H. The bottom line is that the aspiration is universal for English and Hindi, but this phonological feature has different behavior in both language. Okay, so aspiration is used for both English and Hindi, but the phonological feature, different behavior. Yeah, so they have different rules when it comes to how you use the diacritic symbol in their transcription. Okay, so that's my explanation of the broad and narrow transcription, and also value of speech sound of English phonology. Hopefully you understand all the explanation. Actually, it's quite complex, especially for the narrow transcription itself. But yeah, if you have any question, you can contact me. Yeah, feel free to contact me and do not hesitate to contact me, so I'll try to explain it more. So after this, there will be an assignment. Try to check the links that's sent to your WhatsApp group. Thank you, everyone. Bye.